What if we dreamed a bit? What if we looked into the future and thought about what we could become?
And that sucks the fun out of, being at work, which we are all at work for an incredibly long amount of time.
Because we can't keep growing based on cash and scale and size.
As the words came out of my mouth, I realised this could be misunderstood.
And it was. So that's why I believe play is really important. And that's where it becomes exciting.
Welcome to the Being Human podcast with Amelia and Jez Francis. Brought to you by Just Add Water.
Hello, I'm Amelia Vegting.
And I'm Jez Francis, and welcome to the Being Human podcast, where with special guests we continue to explore what it means to be human in this world we find ourselves living in.
Jez, can you believe it? We're at the end of another series.
I know. Where has the time gone?
Well, thinking about it, in recent weeks, I think it's flown particularly quickly for the two of us as we've been up and down the country delivering a set of workshops together on leading with purpose, spending quite a bit of time away from home and a lot of time with each other. The dream team on the road, I think.
Well, indeed, yes. We did spend a lot of time together. Had a lot of fun delivering the work, which was well received, which is always nice. But it does feel nice to be back in the office now with the rest of the Just Add Water family, doesn't it? Amelia, you must be pleased to get some space from all my boring stories.
Well, I was thinking about this, but the fact that you're retelling all the stories that I've already heard on the trains up and down the country, now back in the office, I'm kind of getting them round too.
Are you noticing little nuances, second and third and maybe ninth time around?
Maybe some exaggeration and a slight shift in the truth, perhaps.
Never let the truth get in the way of a great story.
Exactly. Yeah. But no, speaking of being back in the office in London, I have to say that I'm really thrilled to be back in the city. I love it in the run-up to the Christmas holidays. And I've got a couple of fun things planned with friends, like some pub quizzes and a lights walking tour. And of course, I have now been blasting my favourite seasonal song, Underneath the Tree by Kelly Clarkson.
Oh yeah, what a ripper.
But what are you doing to get yourself excited for the holidays? And what is your favourite Christmas song?
So we've been busy planning time with family and friends, some long walks, lots of food, obviously. What else? I've watched Die Hard, one of the best Christmas love stories of all time.
Yes.
Little callback there to Lisa Cron and the episode we did. First series on Story, yep. I've failed to convince my family yet again of the seasonal relevance of Die Hard, or indeed its romantic overtones as well. I'm also looking forward to a carol service or two.
Nice.
And speaking of angelic voices, my favourite Christmas song? Shane MacGowan, The Pogues and Kirsty MacColl's fabulous Fairy Tale of New York. Hands down the best.
Nice. And I think with the season of giving well on its way, we think we've brought a gift of a guest today. Someone that I think we had better be especially nice to. Not that we're not nice to all of our guests.
Yes, you're right. Let's introduce the final guest of Series 2. Jeremy began his career as a stage manager and then a producer in the West End of London and on New York's Broadway for shows including Chess, Phantom of the Opera, Miss Saigon, Tap Dogs and Carrie the Musical. He directed the critically acclaimed American premiere of the Irish dance show Dancing on Dangerous Ground at New York's Radio City Music Hall. He created and produced the Disney Channel Kids Awards, executive produced the music of Andrew Lloyd Webber worldwide, amongst many other shows. In the mid-90s, Jeremy was creative producer for Imagination Entertainments, co-producing the Olivier Award-winning musical Once on This Island, before founding Lively Arts, a corporate consultancy that produced events to support cultural change and innovation, live events and exhibition production. Jeremy co-founded Just Add Water 23 years ago, dedicated to bringing together purpose, story, live experience, and the latest in academic thoughts to effect transformational change in organisations and leadership. Jeremy's also our boss, but more importantly, he's one of our best friends. So, Jeremy, welcome at last to welcome to the Being Human podcast.
I'm delighted to be here after 2 years. Bit of a mouthful, that lot, wasn't it?
It is, yeah. When you write it down, you realise that you have actually done quite a lot over the years.
Or been around quite a lot.
I was going to say, the passage of time helps, doesn't it?
Absolutely.
We'd love to start off with some questions so our listeners can get to know you a little bit better, if that's okay.
By all means.
So to start off with, what was your favourite childhood game or activity and why?
Right, I had a lot, but I guess the one thing that I keep coming back to, because it was it was just brought us all together, was playing cards with the family. Absolutely
Nice.
loved it. We used to do it after dinner, and basically everyone took on a persona. Okay, my mum always cheated. My father was deeply ironic every time and would love to win, and my sister would storm out, and my brother would just give up.
And your role?
My role, if I didn't win, then I'd storm out. That was it. No, cards was great.
Did you have a particular game that you played?
I had
or
loads,
just
really.
Yeah.
Racing Demon was a favourite, which is where my mum always cheated and said she didn't. Hearts, we used to play a lot of whist. Yeah, no, I loved it.
Do you think we miss out on games, family games like that?
100%, absolutely. I mean, if you don't play, I don't think you find joy. So it's a basic thing for me.
Tell me, what's something that's made you laugh out loud recently?
There is so much I could talk about here. I mean, personally, I love life. So if you're enjoying life, then there's a lot to laugh at. And if you don't live life with a smile on your face, what's the point? So a couple of things recently. As you guys know, I've been working in Lisbon a lot for the last year with a fantastic in-house team, building culture and leadership for a company transformation journey out there. And every day this makes me laugh. So I will get there. They will say, we'll have a meeting at 9 a.m. Okay, so to all my Portuguese friends, you know what I'm talking about here. We'll have a 9 a.m. meeting, all right? So half the team will arrive on time. There's always one guy who is traditionally 10 minutes late and doesn't even know what we're talking about when he walks in late. We then have to go for coffee. Everything starts with coffee. And all of that time, we're talking family, we're talking relationships, the weekend, each other's annoying habits. We may start the meeting at 9:45. Just makes me laugh every single time. But they're still pretty effective, but it is fun. The second one I want to talk about, it's something I love, actually, but every time I'm out with my oldest friends, we just absolutely have a laugh. They know who they are. They went to Central with me some 42 years ago, and we're still all the same. We haven't changed. We're still paranoid, we're still moaning, we're still bitching, but we're still loving each other. And God, they are annoying, but that's life, and I love them.
Yeah, it's so brilliant when you're back with those groups of friends, though, isn't it? Because it doesn't matter whether you've seen them, a week ago or a year ago or 6 months ago. The environment you create with each other is always so good.
It's wonderful, And we were in this pub. We decided we booked it for a long lunch. We started at 3. Everyone turned up late, which is my first moan. And then we left at about 10:30. I don't know how much we drank.
Following morning.
Yeah, I was going to say.
But it was wonderful. And also what was great was it's a Friday night, and it got progressively noisier and noisier and more crowded. I couldn't hear a word. But it was joyous. So,
okay, another question for you. If you could master a skill that you don't currently have, what would it be?
Well, definitely leadership. Looking at you two.
Harsh.
Yeah.
It's fair though, isn't it? I mean,
Bang on.
yeah, exactly. Leadership, because I just think those who do lead properly, and we see many who don't, as you know, are just phenomenal. And the other one is playing the piano.
Oh, nice.
I wish I'd listened to my mum.
Did she try and get you to play?
Well, we all had to play.
Oh, okay.
And then progressively, because they were working parents, you might slip off your practice one evening and then a little bit more and a little bit more, and eventually you end up doing other things, don't you? So
I don't think you're alone in regretting not having listened to parents when it comes to playing musical instruments, because it's so hard to pick it up in adult life. Comparatively.
It's really tough. I just really wish I'd done that.
If you could take one item to a desert island, what would it be and why?
Item? I'd love to take
thing.
A thing? Person?
A person? You could take a person.
I could take a thing or a person. Okay, it's got to be Claire. Okay, so she's my wife, obviously, my partner, our rock, our collective rock. Mm-hmm. You guys know why. It has to be Claire.
We'll give the listeners an insight to why it has to be Claire.
Just so she sorts everything out. We don't, do we? Case in point this morning about things. But she just makes things happen. I mean, she's probably one of the best project managers I've ever met and production people I've ever met. She created the V festivals, ran them for so many years. If you want to build something and don't know how to start, then she's your person.
That is Claire. Definitely.
She gets stuff done. Can you imagine me on a desert island on my own with no other person there?
It would make for a very short TV show, wouldn't it?
Yes, it would. It'd be worse than the Tom Hanks thing in Castaway. I would be drawing faces all over everything, not just a coconut.
That's a tough gig if you end up being Jeremy's Wilson, isn't it? Right. Final question.
Okay.
Get to know you question. Who's your hero and why?
This is a tough one. So for me, there's loads. Honestly, loads. So I think for me, heroes are people who've unknowingly or unwittingly taken the role of mentor, for me, a lot of them. First off, anyone who's ever worked with me, that's you two as well. I don't know how and why. But seriously, I'll name 4. Sam Hunter, Gary Withers, Norman Sanson, Jenny Page. All unsung, amazing people who have both touched my life and redefined their industry, in my view, for so many different reasons. So Sam, I worked with her so many eons ago. She's godmother to Jack, my first child. She really reshaped what it meant to be a stage manager, global event guru, amazing character, lovely and very, very funny and sardonic. Every night on a show, she would be ripping the mickey out of me, but at the same time doing an amazing job. Really strong lady in a very tough world. Gary Withers has to be the most exceptional creative person I've ever had the pleasure of being shouted at by, and really shouted at. There's some glorious stories about Gary, but once again has built imagination into this amazing company. Norman Sanson was my first ever corporate client and probably the most placid and amazing and caring, quite directive leader I've ever come across. And probably in that capacity, McKinsey never knew they had such a leader in their midst, but he was truly amazing. And then probably the final one, really, Jenny Page. I have worked with her. She's been our chair for 23 years, but she's probably had more influence on London life, UK and the faith of this country than any other person over the last 30 years. And it really is, I think, criminal that in this male-dominated system, this political system hasn't recognised her and given her a damehood. She built Canary Wharf, she built the Dome, she's been looking after the Church of England for so long. She's amazing. Every time I talk to her, you get blown away by her brain and intelligence and also keeping up with what's going on, considering she doesn't have a television. But there you are. My other 2 heroes are my kids, Jack and Elizabeth. What they've come through with various setbacks has been amazing, and I am in awe of what they do. That's my long list of heroes.
Shall we get into today's subject,
Please,
which
yeah.
is all about play?
Wonderful.
First question, what got you to where you are today?
You know I hate monologues, so you're going to have to interrupt.
We're happy to do that.
I know, I'm sure you are. So what got me here today, definitely my parents. I was born in Aberystwyth in Wales, loved it out there. Then we moved because of my dad's job to Chelmsford in Essex, which is radically different for those who don't know. And I always remember, I found the move a bit tough at the time. My brother and I sort of banded together a bit in the school playground. But over time, it was fine. My mother encouraged us to do everything all the time. So I picked up 2 loves out of that, which was theatre and rugby. I would say theatre, I very quickly realised I did Young Jen and Dram in Chelmsford, and quickly realised that I was really not very good at acting or singing. But what was great about it was, number one, I was fairly big, so I could lift people, namely girls, and thoroughly enjoyed the mix of people there, but also loved theatre. So I went to Central for stage management. That's where I picked up all my mates. For me, it was a great grounding, 2 years of 36 shows across 2 years. Amazing to do.
Wow.
Yeah, you learn a lot. You learn a hell of a lot with some great tutors. And then I always wanted to do musicals, so I got into the West End as quick as I could on chess. You've mentioned all of that. Loved doing it. Wanted to get to Broadway. Got to Broadway when I was 22, so calling Carrie when I was on Broadway with 55-year-old follow-spot operators telling me how to do my job. That was pretty cool.
Yeah.
So I got there when I was 22 and just loved all about West End and Broadway and musicals. Did a hell of a lot of flops, which was, once again, great grounding.
That's how you learn.
It's how you learn, yeah. I mean, learn from your failures, really. And so that was terrific. And then Norman came calling. Well, I went to Image, and Gary was fantastic. Then Norman came calling and said, look, we want to do something with creativity for McKinsey Partners. And that's where I met my first business partner, David Pearl, who sings a bit. And between us, we took this troupe of actors out to the Algarve and took 1,200 McKinseyites and their significant others and made them put on an opera. And that kind of transformed my life, and indeed, hopefully, a few other lives as well. But we basically were quite naive and young, nearly 30 years ago, about bringing the creative arts into business. And we did it on such an epic scale that nobody else was doing it. And that's what built out Lively Arts and then carried that forward into what we're doing now today, Just Step Water.
Tell us a little bit more about we took 400 partners and made them put on an opera. That's not a sentence I think you can say without digging into a little bit.
Somebody at McKinsey decided they wanted to do something creative. They shortlisted a few people. One of them was Opera Circus, which David Pearl was running. And basically they said, can you do something? So we sat down and said, look, of course we can do something, but it really depends how far we can really take people. And David and I were incredibly naive, at the same time having done quite a bit. So I'd done a lot of immersive interactive work, built a show called The Ship and The Big Picnic up in Glasgow. There was a lot of stuff going on that was really quite interesting in terms of theatre. And they just wanted to play with that, really. And Norman was just quite insightful and also said, and trusting, he said, okay, you've got to deliver it. So we took about 50 lovies, actors, singers, dancers, backstage, technicians, etc. We built this amphitheatre in the grounds of the Sheraton Algarve, and 400 people at a time. We did it 3 times. They arrived and they received a different coloured feather on their pillow, and they were put into those groups, 4 groups. They turned up to the amphitheatre, and David announced and said, 3 days' time, you're going to be putting on a show in this space. And the trick of it, which now it makes sense, but at the time we didn't realise, was just to move at pace. Light, fast, fun, relevant, which is our principles in terms of doing facilitation, became something that we actually did quite spectacularly in that case. And the fun and moving at pace were the 2 things that actually got us through that. And then the realisation from everyone there that actually they could own and do it for themselves. They could shape whatever they wanted to do, but you just give people parameters. And it's an art of producing, which is, the constraints. So how can you allow your creative teams to work within those constraints? And that's the art of producing in many ways. And that was the way it sort of began.
That's a brilliant story.
It sets up perfectly a conversation around play, inviting people in a work context to bring play into how they interact with one another and benefiting from all that can bring. So, Jeremy, how do you personally define play, and what separates it from other activities that we do in life?
Well, the way I define it is that there are 3, in my view, 3 dimensions to work, and however you define work, So the 3 dimensions that I would contend are the social dimension, which is what do you and I need to know about each other in order to make tomorrow happen, in terms of how we work together, what we can learn about each other, what we can do. And social is really important. But the second dimension is work itself. So, what do I need to get done to make tomorrow happen? So my spreadsheets, doing your expenses, Jez.
Making widgets, whatever it might be.
Yeah, whatever it might be. Exactly that. The tooling of manufacturing or whatever. And then the third dimension is what I would call play, which is what if we dreamed a bit? What if we created something different? What if we explored what could be possible? What if we looked into the future and thought about what we could become? And those, I think, are the three dimensions. Now, when you start talking about it in that context with a leadership team, exec team, etc., and then you say you've only got 100% of your time at work, where would you place your time right now in terms of what you do on a weekly basis? And on average, a leadership team will say probably between 5 to 10% in social. They'll probably say anywhere between 70 to 90% in work, and then it's between 0 to 10% in play.
Yeah.
And then the second question you ask them is saying, what is your role here as a leadership team? And more often than not, the answer is somewhere along the lines of, we're here to shape the future of this organisation. And you go, okay, so if you're here to shape the future of this organisation, what is the expectation of the organisation on you in terms of those percentages?
Where should you be spending your time?
Where should you be spending your time? And the percentage, obviously, because they're smart people, they're hopefully in leadership roles because they're smart, they go, yeah, we need to spend more time in social, less time in work, and a lot more time in play. And then the third question is, what gets in the way of play? And that's where it becomes exciting, because that's where most organisations go, the short term becomes just too urgent. You know, there is a tyranny in that, which just means you do not get the stuff that you should get done. You just focus on making tomorrow happen on a constant basis. And if you're not careful, that becomes frustrating and wearing, and people become fatigued and stressed and worn out. So that's why I believe play is really important.
What role has play had in your life, personally and professionally?
Such a big part. I mean, I look back on my life, and I think I've been so fortunate. I started in a very playful but quite serious industry, which is theatre.
Yeah.
And if you're kicking off a brand new show and you're a part of stage management, you get to play all the time. You're in a rehearsal room with people, and it's all about play. It's all about developing something new, and so that's really quite exciting. So it's really, for me, it's really shaped my life. It's also shaped it in terms of family, in terms of work, and the way that I look at life. I think I don't think I personally play enough.
I was going to say, should we ask you what your percentages
are? Oh, God, I knew you'd do that. They're not as much as they should be. But.
So many of us effectively, tragically, arguably, sort of grow out of play. Why do you think that happens?
Just the urgency of just being able to live every day, being honest. We work in London. You look at people's faces coming out of the tube. Nobody speaks on the tube. They come out of it all with the headsets on and everything. There's an urgency about getting to work, getting to your desk, getting stuff done, making sure that you're not losing your job. I think there's an awful lot of people just are getting through, and they're finding play in other areas and not in their work. They're finding play when they go meet friends or they do their sports or whatever it may be. And I'm going to throw it back to Amelia, really, because Amelia mentioned, we're quite playful at work, right? But you mentioned to me that when you talk about your friends, a lot of them just do not have that environment that we try to create every day in our workplace.
Yeah, definitely. Some people have said that, when they go to work, it's not as warm of an environment that I think that we have. I think the thing that everybody says is, I'm busy, I've got a lot to do. And it's kind of, as you were sort of alluding to earlier, it's that I've got to get all this stuff done before the end of the day because somebody's asked me to do all of that. And then there's no time for any breathing space to go get a coffee, go have some lunch. And that sucks the fun out of, being at work, which we are all at work for an incredibly long amount of time.
Yeah. As long as as much time as you sleep. I mean, it's nuts.
To me, the work thing feels counterintuitive. Having worked in environments where, creating profit and returns to shareholders becomes the driving force, there's a misconception, therefore, that you have to be serious all the time. And yet we know from the work that we do and the clients that we work with who are brave enough and courageous enough to invite more time for playfulness and social interaction, that ultimately those are the organisations that endure. Yeah. And that actually they do make money, whatever the sort of the commercial goals may be, as an output, or as a product of actually harnessing the everything that the people that work within them bring. I've got a suspicion that the way we teach children as well, and I think
don't get me started on
the winding down of play, I think happens before we get to work.
And it's got worse. So as an example, I mean, how often, right, Jez, we're of a certain age, you and I, aren't we?
Late 30s.
Please. How often did you have sport at your school in a week?
Almost every day.
Every day, yeah. Same here, right? My daughter went to school, and she went to school 15, 17 years ago, okay? She was lucky to do one lesson a week. And then they just stood around a netball court and didn't do much.
Because that's the thing, there's sport that's one aspect of it, and then there's all the arts subjects and, music and all the DT where people were actually building, building woodwork and stuff like that.
DT? Is that what you called it?
Yeah, design technology was what it that's what it was called.
But I think called it woodwork.
But all those subjects are really important because I believe they diversify your portfolio of interest of what you might end up doing with your life. And the fewer of that you do, the less likely you are to find whether you have other hobbies and interests that you like.
Angela Duckworth, in her fabulous book Grit, talks about one of the hallmarks of individuals who we would universally describe as successful, high achievers, if you like, are those individuals who not because they have to, because it's a sort of a set subject, but those individuals who, through curiosity, kind of find new pursuits and stick at them for a period of time and improve to a certain level, and then go and find something else and find something else. Because that's lifting up rocks, looking underneath them, and over time you work out why you're here on this earth. Yeah.
Play is not something you can just do on the side in work.
No.
It's hard work, right? So if what we're talking about with play is providing you the space, the dimension, as we talk about, to try something new, to think in a different way, to explore what else is possible. And that is what's missing in an awful lot of organizations and companies, is getting that, first of all, making sure that space is secure and that you're not inviting people to do something else at that time as well. But then just giving people the opportunity and giving them the tools to actually practically play. And it is hard work.
Well, look, you've sort of touched on a subject there which tees up nicely our next question. So what are the kind of areas of work where play can really help, do you think?
Everywhere. I mean, I believe accountants can play.
Yeah.
Yeah, I know.
Jimmy Carr's accountants.
There you go. I think play can be utilised everywhere.
Yeah.
I don't see it as particularly a dimension that is the purview of the marketing team or the media or theatre or something. I think everywhere can play.
We've talked in the past, haven't we, about the power of humour. I think play is fantastic as a way of building bridges, and in the most difficult, challenging of environments as well, creating that space.
And you think about it, what is our measurement of growth right now?
It's money, isn't
numbers.
it? It's cash.
Right? It's cash. Okay. So what if we playfully explored what else growth means? What does it mean? Because we can't keep growing based on cash and scale and size, because we just don't have the natural resources to do it.
No.
So
let's go around the table then. Ideas. Over to you.
I don't understand. Sorry.
What's happened there is that I've left the stable. I've charged off, and I haven't told you where I'm going.
Is this things instead of cash?
Yeah.
A rich life. By that I mean, it's not loads of cash. It's where everyone has enough to live on and enjoys the environment that they're in.
Yeah, meaningful relationships.
There you go.
Nice. Feeling safe to say what you think.
Feeling part of something bigger than yourself.
Oh, that's a good one.
Being surprised regularly.
Yeah.
Laughter.
Harlequins winning once in a while.
Being able to count on those around you as well.
So
Sounds like a place I'd like to work.
There you go.
So,
You don't enjoy where you're working now?
as the words came out of my mouth, I realised this could be misunderstood.
And it was.
It sounds like where we work. That's what I meant to say.
Yeah, far better statement.
what do you think it is about play that often makes it perhaps undervalued or a low priority for people in and amongst the work that they're doing?
Well, the definition of the word itself. I mean, so people look at the word play, and what's your first thought?
Yeah,
you think
children.
of children, don't you? Yeah.
You think children, you think playgrounds,
Yeah.
you think
Nurseries, all
that kind of thing. So we need to redefine it, which is what I guess has been my journey. I think people just don't give it the time. So
they
don't
expect
see
loads
it.
to happen in a really short window of time rather than giving it enough.
Yeah. How many retreats do we run? How many events do we run where say, oh, no, we need 2.5 days for strategy and you can have half a day to focus on behaviour? You're going, no.
Yeah.
Like, think about it the other way around. You do strategy every single day. You're in your office. But what you neglect are the interdependencies and the relationships and the playful engagement that is important for that strategy to exist and to live. We just need to continually redefine it and get people to think about its value to whatever they term as growth, whatever they see as their definition of success, and help them along that journey, really, and see what they can do. But because it's like any part of work, it's a challenge. To be playful is a challenge. Because you put 3 people in a room who've never played before, in an adult or in a corporate setting,
In a work context,
or a work context, and you say, right, you've got half a day to be playful, and they're going to go, oh, I don't know what you want me to do, and there's some Lego in the corner, we'll make something. But genuinely, play has its own subtle rules, principles, opportunities within it, and I think that's our job. Is to go out there and both be educative, entertain, and help people to sort of grow in different ways.
Oh, and we see it in the work we do, don't we? You can move a very uncomfortable room of individuals that have never met one another, who have got their hands in their pockets and they're kind of looking at the floor.
Yeah,
and
arms crossed.
Looking very defensive. You can feel it in the room, can't you? And then you introduce something playful, and within 10 minutes, the volume goes through the roof. The body language changes.
People have moved closer together.
The facial proximity, the facial expressions, all that changes, and it's a very powerful reminder of what play can do. And I think we have a responsibility to share more stories about how play can transform an environment as well.
Oh yes. I would definitely agree with that.
I wish we could see more stories about the impact of play, and Harvard Business Review and MIT, and all the rags that come out talking about the kind of the drier aspects of kind of what makes for good business.
All the rags, I love that.
You know what I mean, don't you? But
the publications.
Yeah. Back to the kind of percentages. Stories about play and the impact it can have are quite often reserved for the inside of the back cover. We've done all the serious stuff. We've talked about all the serious stuff, the metrics, the numbers, the process, the strategy, the finance, whatever it might be. And now here's a little bit of, something fun. Well, and actually, it's the wrong way around.
I think it's also the amount of times that you see the word productivity thrown around, and everybody's trying to increase their productivity. And,
Have they defined it?
And well, exactly. But actually, building in play as part of your work, that in terms of how productive you could be in those moments and meetings where you are dreaming and thinking differently, in terms of what that could create for an organisation, is way better than finding out how many emails or Teams messages have been sent and how productive we all are or are trying to be.
Yeah, I'd agree.
What advice would you give to people that are looking to bring more play into their teams at work, other than, of course, bringing Just Add Water in to help?
So you've heard me say this a lot. I think context is everything. Don't try to bring in play just because you want to play. It has to have a sense of purpose. And also it has to be there as a opportunity to actually either solve something or drive a company forward, however they define their success, as we said before. So then you can be really playful. The second thing is, quite seriously, is just try something. Give yourself and your colleagues the time to do something different.
And license to explore.
And license to explore. And that could be anything, That could be spending a day doing improvisation, or it could be just getting some musical instruments and banging them a little bit, or it could be in 10 years' time, we need to be here. This is our standing in the future. What does that look and feel like? And go from there. But don't do it without thinking about what the opportunity is you're trying to create.
Let me play devil's advocate. Do you think play always has to have a sense of purpose, or do you think there is some space in the work environment just for the unbridled pursuit of laughter and a bit of joy and some happiness?
Isn't that a purpose in itself?
So yes, it is. No, it's a good challenge. It is, but it's not one necessarily that people would intuitively leap to as a sort of a work outcome. I mean, my gut feel is that the more of that there is around, the better people will connect and ultimately work together. But I'm curious on your thoughts.
Yeah, no, I would agree with that. But I still think that is a purpose. I mean, if the reason why people go to escape rooms with their workmates or do Taskmaster with their workmates or whatever it may be, is because you're ultimately wanting to build better relationships.
Yeah.
And if you build better relationships, then you will recognize each other at the coffee station or by the water cooler or whatever it may be and have a conversation. And as you start to sort of open up a little bit, you build out who that character of that person is. And then the next thing you do is you're going to them with a real tricky problem you've got.
Yeah, no, you're right.
And so it all has purpose. Play is very much in that. It's when you start to think about it. The worst type, I would say, and we've seen it many times, which is we just want to do something different. When you hear that, you're going, okay, so tell me about your business. Tell me what your organisation is trying to achieve, or what this team is wanting to do.
How do you want things to be different?
How do you want things to be different?
Yeah.
Exactly. And generally, we will build that as our purpose for doing the work. But I think going into it and just saying we just want to have a day of fun doesn't really get you that much out of it. Because I think you do need to build a sense of purpose behind play.
I like the idea of convincing people that joy, laughter, happiness can be a valid goal in and of itself because of what it can lead to in terms of how you then, acting in concert with your colleagues in a different way, can produce the magical, the unbelievable, the unexpected.
Definitely. What do you think the world would look like if we played more?
Well, the optimist in me would say be less fighting, be less polarization in politics.
Fairer, perhaps.
I think all of that, if we played more, could happen. I think the danger we've driven ourselves into, particularly in the Western society, is this sort of sense of, as capitalism has overtaken us, is that there's only one metric, as we talked about, which is cash. And that drives human behavior, unfortunately. So playfulness and play gets consigned to the fringes, or an act that we watch when we go to the theatre or the opera or whatever we do. So I think we really do need to encourage everyone to both rediscover play as a general point, but also the importance of it in terms of creating value at work. So we just need to be explore and expand our horizons and discover a lot more.
What would you say to people listening who are hearing this conversation and going, there's no aspect of my job, or I know I don't play in my job, and perhaps the interests that I have outside of work I don't think are particularly playful? What do you think are kind of the first few steps that you can take to start introducing more play into your world?
Be curious. Just simply be curious. And by the way, I hear that on a daily basis with clients, is that too stressed, too much time has to be spent on other stuff, haven't got the time to focus on that. And I would just encourage people, just really think about being curious about what else is possible around you. And it can be small things, tiny things. Go go to a different coffee shop on your way to work.
Yeah.
There's a simple way of doing it. Change your walk from the station to the office if you're doing that kind of work. If you're working from home, take a break at a different time. Just really be curious about what else is possible. So that would be my first step around it. And also, don't give in. I think too many times you see it in people saying, well, that's the job. That's the job I'm doing. And I genuinely think you need to find both joy and purpose in what you're doing. So I would always challenge people to find the next step. What else is possible? How can I actually build playfulness into what I do on a daily basis?
I like the idea of finding time to do more of what you love.
Yeah.
Got to.
Give yourself permission to do more of what you love. Do you remember playing teabag tossers with me, Amelia?
I don't know if I do. What was teabag
was-
tossers?
When did
remember-
he start that one?
That was in lockdown, where I would get you or whoever we were on a Teams call with or a Zoom call to sort of put a teacup in front of their computer and then stand on the other side of the room
And have to
Yes.
launch
with
a
the
teabag
teabag
in.
and just see if you could throw it into the
Yeah.
Was it a
cup.
soggy?
No, all dry. No,
okay.
No sort of fluids involved. But
Goodness for that.
But great fun, and also getting kind of, it's quite senior teams in client organisations to play it. The laughter and the hilarity.
Yeah.
Yeah.
A great medicine that can come from play.
Yeah.
What's the one thing, Jeremy, you'd like people to take away from our conversation?
Just enjoy life. You see it so often. I mean, I say, and I don't mean it glibly, because we work with a lot of people who really have challenges, and we fully all understand the
pressures people
that people are under, their mental health issues that have grown after lockdown, etc. It is tough, and I would absolutely agree with any leader who says to me, well, you don't understand how much is now in the workplace. I would agree with them. I mean, there's so much. If you're in a position of management or leadership, it's really challenging. But you can still find joy, and you can still find... I firmly believe that you need to try and find the joy in everything you do. And for us, we're rather in this luxurious position of being in the Western world, where we do have a bit of money and we do have our freedom, and therefore just enjoy it.
Yeah.
There's so many people who don't have what we got.
Very true. Wise words, as always. Jeremy Sturt.
Thank you so much for joining us on the
thank
Being
you.
Human podcast.
Thank you, and thank you for giving me the opportunity after all this time.
I enjoyed that conversation.
Yeah, me too. What did you enjoy about it, Jez?
Well, it made me realise how fortunate I am to work with Jeremy, someone who values the same things as me. He and I, over the years, we don't always see things in the same way, but because we share the same foundational basis of play and story, that diversity of perspective is probably how I'd describe it. It becomes a superpower for Just Add Water. And on reflection, I have felt that way about him and the work we've done together over the years, right from the very first time I met him, when I was a participant in a session that he and Just Add Water ran for the company I worked for at the time.
Oh, wow. When was that?
Oh, I knew you were going to ask me that. I think that must
That wasn't
have,
a dig.
No, it will have been 20 years ago.
Wow.
I think, yeah. And he's always made me feel that my opinion matters, that we can have fun, that I feel safe to say what I think, even if it's in direct kind of opposition to what his view might be. So he plays himself down, but he is a fantastic leader.
No, definitely. I think when Jeremy was speaking then, I started thinking about some of the recent projects or pieces of work since I've been at Just Add Water, which I haven't known it for 20 years, but it's coming now 5 years that I've been here. But I started thinking about sort of some of the projects, or roles that I've been on and been a part of that I absolutely love doing, and thinking about those in the dimensions that Jeremy was talking about of social work and play, and trying to put percentages on the jobs that I love doing of where we actually spent time as a team in the social side, the work side and the play side. The ones that I enjoyed the most were 100% where play was a really fundamental part to the success of what we were doing, where we were collaborating and testing and idea creation and trying new things and stretched what we initially thought the job was going to be a part of. And then, through hard work and, long days and a real collective effort, it created something in the end that was really powerful for the client and, that had a lot of meaning behind it. But when the work has play in it, it just is more fun and more memorable. They're all the ones that immediately are coming to the forefront of my head. So that was what I was kind of taking away as he was speaking. But I thought that was a really fun conversation. And I think that, whether you think you have play involved in your everyday, there's always a little bit more something we can all be doing to try and be more playful and live a more joyful life because of that.
Because the work is playful and enjoyable and hard and challenges really difficult things within client organisations, I think that's why they keep coming back to us.
Okay, for a final time this series, shall we give the listeners what they've really been waiting for?
Absolutely. This is my time to shine, isn't it? I know where you're going with this. This is celebrating the mundane elements of all of our lives, something that I don't seem to struggle with.
Boring things about me.
If you're not struggling to come up with anything, then you kick us off today, Jez.
Okay, so with Henry, our son in Australia, sorry, not our son.
Our son. News to me.
Yeah. I've been sending him weekly roundups of what's been going on at home. Would you like to hear the kind of things that have been making the highlights reel?
Absolutely, I would.
Okay, so number one, some detailed descriptions of when and where I've walked the dog.
Okay.
And whether or not Dennis, the dog, seems to have enjoyed being out in the fresh air. Spoiler alert, he always does. There were quite a lot of updates on World Snooker as well.
Is that something you and Henry watched together?
No.
Okay.
No. We've just had the UK Championship won by the ace in the pack, Judd Trump. Amelia, you look like you're drifting off there.
No,
okay?
I actually was yawning.
And then another example might be, general sort of household DIY updates as well. So including
Henry.
failures. The most recent of which that I shared with him is my botched attempt to reattach the loose seat in the downstairs lavatory. I think I'm at the point now where I need some professional help on that one. So,
okay.
But you get the idea. And joking apart, I hope there's something comforting for him in a regular update about the less exciting things that go on at home. And he hasn't asked me to stop.
Oh, Henry.
So
obviously you're going to continue.
I'm going to take that as license to continue.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Your turn, Amelia. What have you done recently, which is more at the dull end of the spectrum?
So speaking of Australia, actually, it's apparent that lots of my friends have decided to give London living a bit of a break and head over to Australia, escape the cold winter months and head to Bondi. So last weekend, I had yet another friend's leaving drinks. And just for some context, I had a hockey match that day and also had a friend's birthday to go to afterwards. So, I had my whole sort of schedule planned of where I was going to be, when. It was all, got my timings all ready. And I was rushing around after hockey training to get to the leaving drinks for 6:00. I was all ready to go on the bus, made my way there, arrived at the pub. Pub was popping off. It was heaving with people. And the bar was really busy. So I thought what I'll do is, because I didn't know loads of people who were going to this leaving drink. Right. So I thought I'll get myself a drink and then I'll go find where they all are. So I get my drink and then I start doing a few laps of the pub and I don't recognise anyone at all. But like I said, it didn't surprise me because it was multiple people's leaving drinks and, so I wasn't stressed at that point. But after sort of lap number 4 and peering, I think, into a couple of people's private parties, I thought I'll just ask someone who works there. So I went to the guy with the iPad and asked him where the booking for probably 40 to 50 people at 6:00 was. And he asked me what the names were. So I gave the name and then he went to his iPad and then he went back to his pieces of paper that was in front of him and then back to his iPad again and then to his colleague. And then there was something that I was just going, oh God, something isn't quite right here. And then I went back onto the WhatsApp group chat that had been made and was scrolling through details to find out anything else. which is when I realised I had turned up 7 days early for for the leaving drinks. So I was a whole week early. And what I think was the most embarrassing part about it is because I'd spoken to so many members of staff about where this booking was, all of them were walking around as I was sat on my own, on my own, finishing my drink that I'd already bought. So yes, I had to have quite an embarrassing, lonely pint.
Better to be a week early than a week late.
Exactly.
Well, that brings us to the end of this episode and indeed this series.
Amazing.
So thank you for listening to the Being Human podcast.
Do hit the follow button and leave us a review on whatever platform you are using.
And as always, we would love to hear from you. So if you've got suggestions on topics you'd like us to explore, or if you think you'd make a brilliant guest, or if you'd like to talk to us and the team here in London, Singapore or Australia about the work we do as Just Add Water all around the world, we would love to hear from you.
Please do get in touch. Thanks for listening.
You've been listening to the Being Human podcast. Brought to you by Just Add Water. Nurturing individual brilliance, forging collective strength.
Are you recording that?
Did you see that shoulder wiggle?
Should we have a quick go of introducing Jeremy without him being here? 3 times Academy Award winner, Olympic medalist, all-round Mr.
Lord.
Universe, Lord Sturt. Momentarily lost. Did you pick up? Did you look? Did I do my lost face? Amelia's seen that a lot over the last 4 weeks when I've gone off on a tangent and I've strayed too far away from the running order, from the campfire, and don't know my way back.